What's going on, everybody? This is the RGR Football Channel. My name is Daniel Harms, and today we get to start going over the Chiefs' entire lineup of draft picks. And we're going to start off on the defensive side of the ball because there were two offensive players taken, and most of the players that the Chiefs took were defensive players. So we're going to go ahead and start there. Today is going to be all about Chenal, linebacker out of Wisconsin. This guy is like 6'2", 6'3", 250 pounds, 31-inch arms. He has the speed. He has the size to play linebacker in the NFL level. But there might be a little tweak to his game that we're going to be seeing in Steve Spagnuolo's system. But I wanted to start off just by saying, if you guys are new to the channel, from everyone that watched the draft coverage, I thank you so much. And if you're new, please hit that like, hit the bell, hit the sub notification, because we have tons and tons of content going on this week, the following weeks. Now that we're getting into the big chunk of the offseason, we're going to have more roster stuff, some more film rooms about Chiefs players, not just draft picks. So make sure you do that and don't miss out. And then also, we are starting a brand new Substack, NFL33.com. It will direct you right to that Substack. We're going to branch off a little bit from what we normally do with just Chiefs stuff and talk about the overarching NFL concepts and really start scouting for the 2023 NFL draft prospects. So we're going to start doing that soon as well. As soon as we get through the Chiefs draft, I'm going to start focusing a little bit more on doing some film there, some film here. So we have an overarching concept of film for college and film for the NFL. It's going to be a lot of fun. Looking forward to it. I hope you guys are. So yeah, let's go ahead and jump into it because I think Chenal is a very, very interesting guy. Not only is he one of the players in this draft that really went underdrafted in the end of the third round, he's really great value. And I think that we get to see right out of the gate that, he's got some interesting ability to him. He doesn't make a play here, but I want you to kind of notice. This is a little foreshadowing in my eyes about what I think he could become. Look at what he does to the left tackle. He just kind of uses his arms extending, moving him side with his strength to locate that football. Look, and then he gets his arm off. This is kind of like a defensive end form position. Look at this. Look at the body. Nice flexed, straight bodies, long arm into the tackle. Like he's looking for whoever has the football, making sure you can't. He's kind of setting an edge almost as a linebacker. So there are some parts about his game that I find very intriguing. Let's just say that. And we'll get to more of that at the end of the video. But I want to start off everything else by talking about what he does as a true linebacker, because you're still going to be expected to play linebacker in the NFL. He is number 5. So right now he is right here as a 2 linebacker set. And just look at how he takes away lanes, offering up his body to get in the way to open his teammates up for tackles. Like he just, he's kind of asking what's going on to start the snap off, and then he just really runs just downhill. He's like, okay, think about what's happening here. This run can come any which way, but he's coming here, and look at the hole. Okay, if I can make this hole prominent enough, we have a couple different guys that can fill and scrape across. If I can just make this hole big enough to force the running back to go into that hole, that's what my job is to do. So I'm going to attack downhill fast, and I'm going to make this open up. Okay, then you get a couple guys flowing and scraping across, and it's what he does. He opens up rushing lanes and run defending lanes for his other guys. He's just so quick to get downhill and really break up this hole that could have been if he hesitated a little bit. One of those things in this game he's not super shy about is not hesitating. He wants to click and get downhill and into some of these rushing lanes and holes to really help the rest of his teammates out as well as himself, because sometimes you get in there quick enough and you can get the tackle for loss on your own. So another part of his game that is not as talked about and really as prevalent on his film is what he can do in space as a coverage defender, because he's not totally used that way. He definitely is more of a downhill running defense kind of linebacker that can click close in a jiffy, but he does have some decent footwork. I think he gets into his drops pretty well, and again, he likes to be looking for the football, but he does see this ball come out, clicks close, and then gets an open field tackle on this running back out of the backfield. So it's not going to be a super prevalent part of his game. His passing prowess, he's not going to be carrying he's not going to be say this guy's coming across the formation. He's not going to be carrying him up the field any time. But one thing that I really think sticks out in his interview process that he had with the Chiefs and the conversation he had after he got drafted was the things you think I am good at right now, I was bad at 3 years ago. So just think about what the kind of guy he is. He wants to work. He wants to get better at the things that he's not good at. And because he actually is an incredible athlete, he has better feet than you would expect for a guy who's really more of a downhill pass rusher, blitzer, and run defender. He can move in space, and I think the Chiefs might be able to unlock a little bit more of that passing ability in terms of defending the pass, getting on the field with Willie Gay maybe helps you in that regard. He has some very good instincts, so you really might be able to unlock a little bit there, and I think that you have something with Leo Chenal and the fact that, he's not the sideline to sideline run with guys down the field type of player, but he has some short area quickness. He has some lateral agility. He has some decisiveness, and I think he gets to his drop points pretty well. So, especially in zone, not so much in man coverage, being a coverage defender, but that's not really his game. So, just very, very important to talk about him as an all-around player before I get into what I really think the Chiefs might end up doing with him. Just the one area that he lacks, in my personal opinion, from watching. I watched 3 total games. I watched him against Rutgers, Michigan, and Purdue. Really not great offenses that he played against in the Big Ten. But he does not locate the football very well. He's still, like I said, he's not shy about hesitating. And he likes to go with the run fits. And he likes to see, okay, I see running back, I see ball, I see a mesh point. I'm going after the running back. This is not just happening on quarterback draws or quarterback keepers, because he would have had this tackle for loss if he would have followed the football. Stop, wait for it, and then attack. He does like to get ahead of himself a little bit, and it can get him just in a little bit of trouble. It happens on some jet sweeps, motioning, reverses, end arounds, even just regular old mesh points that he loses the ball sometimes. So there is one part to his game, especially against the run, that he's still learning, finding that football, and I do expect him to get much better at that this year. Something you can teach him pretty easily, especially as a guy who's really good downhill. Just instincts. But look at how he just does not care. He doesn't care about getting his nose in there. Always willing to get downhill and attack somebody. Just a pure power dude. One of those throwbacks. I didn't include it in this tape, but if you guys want to see him absolutely dismantling Tyler Linderbaum, you can search for it on Twitter. I have a clip of him just manhandling the entire Iowa offensive line. He was unblockable in that game. Tyler Linderbaum had so much trouble getting him. He was so powerful. He can line up in here as almost as a defensive lineman and just cause havoc. But he gets downhill so quick. He forces Hassan Haskins to have to spin off and into somebody else. So he just attacks, bullies the tight end and the left tackle just out of the way. This is my gap, not yours, and I'm willing to come downhill and just cause a bunch of mess, make people fall down, pile up on top of me. I don't care what I have to do. Sacrifice life, body, and limb to get in the backfield. That's the kind of player he is. He wants to hit you. And this is just a little bit of his short area, lateral agility. So you're just going to watch what he does to manipulate the blocker. So we see a double here, okay? You have this double. So he's going to kind of work his way down and give the guy who's going to come off the double to the linebacker a little bit of an outside fake here. Just a little bit. So he's going to stop, hesitate outside. This is really the fun part, because you have a guy who could block him, guy who's trying to block him, and he just goes right through there. He can sneak inside those holes very, very quickly, and he's very good at setting up blockers for himself. He likes to manipulate them a little bit with little micro movements, getting outside, moving a step inside, and just using his shoulders and his eyes and his head to really get inside of these little tiny holes that open up. So really, really fun player to watch downhill as he manipulates offensive linemen with his own micro movements and his lateral agility, something that doesn't show up on tape all the time, but you see the flashes here just like you did right there. Here he is again. He's just, he's just a bat out of hell, man. He just wants to get after you. And that's one of the reasons that the Wisconsin was just like, you're going to be more of a blitzer. You're going to go after the quarterback. get downhill, get in the backfield, find ways to cause havoc. And he's just going to slide his way underneath this puller. He's going to kind of bend underneath him to get a tackle for loss. Like he had 3.5 sacks against Purdue by himself. But I wanted to just kind of show a little bit of bendiness, a little bit of shoulder slide, a little bit of on the move agility and heavy thinking, because he sees the puller coming around and he's like, I can get underneath you, bend underneath and make the tackle. He doesn't necessarily have the longest arms in the world, but there's something I'm going to compare him to at the end that maybe gets your head thinking a little bit. He just blitzes so well, and he's very good hand usage pass rusher for a linebacker. When we get on here, I want you to just see him lined up here. He's right here coming downhill, lined up in the neutral zone here, almost. Just pass rush, pass rush, pass rush. He does kind of trip down there a little bit. That's not something that shows up on tape a whole lot, but I want you to watch his hands. Look at him. And then he squeezes. Again, finds ways to squeeze through offensive linemen. But watch the hands. Like I said, he's going to just do a little jab step inside. Just a little one, and then he's going to swipe and swim. It's a quick swim, too. It's not a labored swim. It's just more of a little tiny one that he gets his body into that hole there. That's all he's trying to do, is just find a way to get his arms and his hands inside that hole. And whether it's a rip swim, a little bit of just a little tiny one. He just kind of attacks, jabs with his right arm, swims with his over a little bit, and just shoves himself into that hole and is able to come out and make a tackle, make a sack for loss. That's the kind of guy that he is. He's just so much fun to continuously watch on these sacks, and how he works as a pass rusher and what you can do with a player like him, who I really think has a lot of tools to become something a little interesting in this Kansas City defense. The last clip we got here, him just cornering. Simple. It's a corner. But what does that have in common with something that Kansas City pass rushers don't do? They can't corner. They can't bend. But this is excellent. So he's coming, all of his motions coming downhill. Got this way. And then you have to get inside. So he's just going to do exactly what I just said. Corner. Condense hip flexion, ankle flexion, condense all of that and get downhill. So he goes from basically almost a 90-degree turn. Things that these pass rushers in Kansas City don't really do. And we just lost it. That's okay. My bad. But again, these are all the things that I'm leading up towards. I think that Leo Chenal can really be a different kind of player in Kansas City. I think the player that I'm talking about, and don't try to get too carried away with this comparison, because I don't think they're the same player. I don't think that they're remotely close, okay? Micah Parsons is a very different type of athlete and was a first-round pick. He can be an all-around linebacker. He can stand up. He can come down to the edge. But I think the Kansas City Chiefs might be able to use Leo Chenal in roughly the same type of way. But he would be more of a designated Sam overhang linebacker that you could have rush the passer, in pass rush situations. Say you drafted George Karlaftis, okay? And he's your defensive end on your first and second down. And then on third down, in obvious passing situations, you say, I'm going to take Karlaftis. I'm going to move Chris Jones more to the inside. And I'm going to have Karlaftis play as that 3 tech. And we're going to rush next to each other. And I'm going to bring in Leo Chenal, who I think has much better bend. He can corner. He's got some pass rush moves. He's got very good explosion downhill. You might have something here, even if it's not him. Bring him in anyway as a linebacker and just have him rush off the edge as a blitzer. There are many different ways you can use this type of athleticism and this type of quarterback sack production. He had 8.5 sacks last year as a linebacker, so he can rush the quarterback. Getting downhill, he's like Nick Bolton, but he's bigger. He is obviously taller, he's stronger, and he can block shed better. That is the one area of his game that consistently comes up. He has 31-inch arms, and he can just engage, shed, and get offensive linemen out of his way. He's so understanding of leverages and how to use his arms properly, because I compared him to Micah Parsons. Micah Parsons has 31.5-inch arms. Not like he's got 34-inch arms, so they just understand how to use them properly, and I think Leo Chenal can definitely do that. And as an overhang linebacker slash Sam slash pass rusher in this defense, we're talking about a guy who may be able to help bump up a George Karlaftis. If you kicked him inside and have him rush against in third down situations, he might have better pass rush too, because he's all about collapsing the pocket. You can collapse it and have Leo come around. You're talking about some actual real things here that I think are exciting at the very least for these young players. So I know that, like I said, the comparison, trying to think about the comparison, think about the usage, and think about how the Chiefs can use Leo Chenal as this hybrid type of linebacker defensive end and just cause some havoc, because he wants to. He desperately wants to cause havoc. You watch a couple of his games. He's up at the line of scrimmage and he's trying to get offensive linemen like to jump, and he's like shaking his head and like trying to get them all to jump and like attacking, the fake attacking and jumping in, jumping out. He's all over the place. And I love that kind of energy, and I think that he really adds a lot of energy, physicality, and want to hit you dynamicism to this defense. So I'm a huge fan of Leo Chenal. I think that he can really be a huge part of this defense, specifically as a true pass rusher and run down stuffer. Those are the two things that they desperately need in run defense and pass rush. So he's got it in spades. I think if you can help you utilize his hands and his arms a bit better, add some pass rush moves to his skill set with the natural athleticism, the hip bend, the ankle flexion, all of it, he can truly become something unique in a Steve Spagnuolo defense that we haven't really seen to this point. So I'm excited. I hope this got you guys fired up a little bit, because as I talk about it, I get so excited about what he could possibly be. And again, it's all about projection. What does he have? And trying to see what he has and projecting it to the NFL and to this defense and trying to find ways to utilize his unique skill set. So I'm totally excited. Tomorrow, Wednesday, we're going to have the Trent McDuffie film review for you guys. Those are the two that I'm doing this week. Ryan's got this week off because it's been such a crazy, havoc-y type of draft season that he needs some time. I'm going to take next week and kind of spend some more time with my daughter and relax a little bit. But again, tomorrow we're going to have Trent McDuffie film review. Maybe Thursday I still do the Chief of the North with Seth. We'll have to kind of work that out, but you guys will know tomorrow when that drops. Make sure you hit the bell and the sub notification. I appreciate all of you watching and tuning in for this. I know it's going to be a fun one because we all love linebackers with athleticism and some pass rush ability. So make sure you guys hit that like for the video and have an absolutely fantastic day.
Thanks for watching this video from the team at RGR Football. Click these videos to see more and subscribe to RGR Football.